Okay, so we're going to look at the solution to this particular question. The motion of a soccer ball being kicked can be modeled by the relation h equals negative 2t squared plus 8t, where h represents the height of the ball in meters and t represents the time in seconds after the ball has been kicked. First thing we want to do is determine the T intercepts. So here the T intercepts would occur when the variable h equals 0. So in other words, the T intercepts are going to be the points where the ball is on ground level or a height of 0 meters. So these would be the points where anywhere where the ball is at ground level. So when the ball hits the ground after the kick, or perhaps the ball is kicked from ground level. So here we're going to set h equal to 0 in the equation. And then we're going to solve for t. Now here, we want to first factor as much as possible. So we're going to start by looking for common factors. So I see a common factor of negative 2t. Both 2 and 8 have a common factor of 2. And t squared and t, both terms have at least one t that I can use as a common factor. Since the first term is negative, I'm also going to take out a negative as part of that common factor. So I'm left with negative 2t squared divided by negative 2t is t, and 8t divided by negative 2t gives me negative 4. Okay. So now either this value or this factor equals 0 or this factor equals 0. That's the only way that I'm going to get this equation to work, because to have two values multiply to equal 0, one or the other has to be equal to 0, or both have to be equal to 0. So we're going to separately set each factor equal to 0. And then solve each of those resulting equations. So dividing both sides by negative 2 here, I get t equals 0. And adding 4 to both sides here, I get t equals 4. So in this case, we can say that the ball is at a height of 0 meters at time 0. So that's when the ball is first kicked. It's at a height of 0 meters. And at time 4 seconds. So it takes 4 seconds for the ball to return back down to the ground. Okay, next we're going to use the same scenario and same equation to determine the H intercept. Well, the H intercept occurs when the other variable t equals 0. And so we can substitute a value of t equals 0 into this equation. And we see that negative 2 times 0 is 0, and 8 times 0 is 0. So the height here would be 0. So this is the same point that we actually found when we found T intercepts, because in this case, 0, 0 would be both a T intercept and an H intercept. So again, this is the point where the ball is kicked from. It's kicked from time 0 at a height of 0 meters. Okay, next we're going to find the vertex for this relation. So we had already found that the two T intercepts happened at t equals 0 and at t equals 4. So to first find the axis of symmetry, we do know this is a quadratic relation, so we can find the axis of symmetry by finding the average of these two T intercepts. So the axis of symmetry will be t equals the average of these two values. So 0 plus 4, and then we divide by 2 to find the average. So we get t equals 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the axis of symmetry occurs at t equals 2. And then to find the h coordinate of the vertex, we can substitute t equals 2 into the equation to find the h coordinate. So h is equal to negative 2 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2. And so we get negative 2 times 4 plus 16. So this is negative 8 plus 16. And so we get a height of positive 8. So the vertex is at 2 for the t value, comma 8 for the height value, the h value. So this vertex point tells us that the ball reaches a maximum height of 8 meters, and that happens 2 seconds after it's been kicked. Okay, we could sketch a quick graph based on all of the information that we have here. So this is the t-axis, and this is the h-axis. We know that the ball starts from a height of 0 meters at 0 seconds and returns back to the ground level at 4 seconds. Okay. And we know that it reaches a maximum height of 8 meters after 2 seconds. So we've got our parabola looks something like this. So that represents the motion of the soccer ball or the height of the soccer ball over time in seconds.